गुरु रूप प्यारी साध संगत जी, आओ सारे रसना पवित्र करते हुए गज वज के बोलो जी जय गुरुदेव, धन गुरुदेव। रब्बी बाणियां दे विच लिखिया है कि मानस जन्म दुर्लभ है, होत न बारंबार, ज्यों फल पक पोए गरे बौड़ न लागे डाल। ये जन्म एक बारी मिलिया है और असी बड़े भागां वाले हैं कि साडे गुरुआं ने, सतगुरु रविदास जी महाराज ने, 10 गुरु साहिबान ने, होर भी जिन्ने भगत होए ने, सारिਆਂ ने, गुरु पीर सारिਆਂ ने सानू एक सहज भावना जीवन जीण लई गल कीती है। उन्होंने घर बार छड्ड के जंगलों में वसन वास्ते नहीं किया, बल्कि उन्होंने रोकया जंगल जंगल क्या फिरे वन कंडा मोड़े, वसी रब हयाली आ तू बाहर क्या ढूंढे। बाहर कित्थे काहे रे बन खोजन जाई, सर्वनिवासी सदा लेपा तो हे संग समाई। पोह माजियों बास बसतै मुकरमा है जैसे छाई, ऐसे ही हर बसे निरंतर घट ही खोजो पाई। बाहर भीतर एको जानो ये गुर ज्ञान बताई, कहो नानक बिन आपा चीने मिटे ना भरम की काई। संतां महापुरुषों ने दसिया कि ईश्वर तेथों वख नहीं है, पर तेरी वेखण वाली अख नहीं है। रब तेथों वख नहीं, पर वेखण वाली अख नहीं। सहज अवस्था जीण वास्ते सानू कहा गया है कि असी इसे तरह गृहस्थ का पालन करते हुए, समाज दीयां जिम्मेवारियां निभाते हुए, परिवार दीयां जिम्मेवारियां निभाते हुए असी अपने जीवन नू जीना है। सानू छड्ड के जाण वास्ते नहीं कहा। तो इस जीवन दे विच जिथे सानू जरूरत पैंदी है, समाज दे विच MLA भी हैं, MP भी हैं, अफसरां नाल भी सानू वास्ता पैंदा है, दुकानदारां नाल वास्ता पैंदा है, सब्जी वाले नाल, कपड़े वाले नाल, सारिआं नाल वास्ता पैंदा है। पर जो साडी सेफ्टी है, देश की सुरक्षा आर्मी करती है और साडी सुरक्षा जिहड़ी है लोकल वो पुलिस करती है। असी इत्थे वैस्ट मिडलैंड दे विच जो कि कवेंट्री तो लैके कवेंट्री, बर्मिंघम, डडली, वालसाल, वुलवरहैम्पटन, सैंडवल, सोलीहुल, ये सारे इलाके जिहड़े ने वैस्ट मिडलैंड विच आउंदे हैं। तो वैस्ट मिडलैंड दे जो साडे कमिश्नर हैं, जिन्हां नूं पुलिस के चीफ कांस्टेबल कहा जाता है, वो हुण इत्थे नवे आए ने। तो साडा इस भाग है कि कांशी TV के उत्ते अज जो मेरे नाल इत्थे दर्शन दिते ने, उन्होंने दर्शन देणगे। बड़े सवाल साडे जो साडे देखण वाले ने, उन्हां दे शुभ चिंतक ने जिहड़े कांशी TV के, उन्हां दे आए ने, कम्यूनिटी वालों भी आए ने। उन्हां सवालों के जवाब असी किसी होर तो पूछीए, किसी सिपाही तो पूछीए, किसी होर लीडर तो पूछीए। उहदे नाल इन्हां नूं बेनती कीती कि जिहड़े तुसीं सारिआं तो वड्डे हो, जिन्हां ने सारी पॉलिसी बनानी है, साडी सुरक्षा दा करना है, वो साडे विच आउण और सानू उस दे नाल आके सानू निहाल करन, साडे सवालों के जवाब देन। और मेरी खुशकिस्मती है, इट्स माई प्लेयर, इट्स माई प्रिविलेज टू वेलकम चीफ कांस्टेबल ऑफ वेस्ट मिडलैंड क्रेग गिलफर्ड जी। वेलकम टू कांशी TV, मिस्टर गिलफर्ड।
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
थैंक यू। और इन्हां दे नाल साडे प्यारे मित्र जो कि पुलिस दे विच पहले ऑफिसर रमेश जी, रमेश कुमार जी, वो भी आए ने। मैं इन्हां दा स्वागत करना। रमेश जी, जय गुरुदेव, धन गुरुदेव जी, वेलकम।
जय गुरुदेव, नमस्कार।
नमस्कार। सो साध संगत, today the format will be I will have to ask question and get an answer in English, and wherever possible Ramesh ji will translate into Punjabi, so you can all understand. I am sure 70% people who are our viewers, they all understand English, but however we have to fulfill everybody's aspiration, so we will translate something in Punjabi as well. Ramesh ji, thank you very much for doing this seva, doing this service. The first of all, everybody who is watching us, you are being watched in 200 countries. It is Sky channel, and this is the only channel which is watched in that number in Indian language, and Indian channel. So welcome to you on this, and thank you for giving us your valuable time. I know you are very busy.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. So first question everybody would like to know, how long you have been yourself in police?
I've been in the police service for 30 years. I started off as a volunteer, as a special constable, and I've worked in a variety of forces in England and Wales, so in Cheshire, on the National Crime Squad at Manchester, in West Yorkshire, in Wales. I was Chief of Nottinghamshire for 6 years before coming here to the West Mids, and I've been Chief here for a year.
Very good.
Which has flown by.
It's our pleasure and privilege to welcome you as Chief of whole of West Midland. I explain people that although this channel is non-political, but it's a social and religious channel, and being watched by 200 countries and millions of people this evening, and they will be very happy to know that you are answering our questions directly.
Absolutely.
I said that we are not asking any other superintendent or local commander. We are asking the chief. The chief has said everybody. So answer we get from you. If they are not answerable today, I'm sure next time you come, it will be you would have answered. Now, Saad Sangat ji, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ 30 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੇ। So everybody, first of all, the question, everybody joined police. You joined as a volunteer, and then must be constable?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody starts at that level.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸੋ ਜੀ, everybody have to start.
तो इस तरह है कि जिस तरह चीफ दस रहे ने उसी तरह ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਭਰਤੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਤੌਰ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਕਈ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਕੈਡੈਟਸ ਭਰਤੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਜੁਆਇਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਰੈਗੂਲਰ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਕਨਸਟੇਬਲ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਬੇਸ਼ਨਰ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ 2 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ, 2 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਪੱਕਾ ਐਫੀਸ਼ੀਐਂਟ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਆਫੀਸਰ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਸਰਜੈਂਟ ਇੰਸਪੈਕਟਰ, ਚੀਫ ਇੰਸਪੈਕਟਰ, ਸੁਪਰਡੈਂਟ, ਚੀਫ ਸੁਪਰਡੈਂਟ, ਅਸਿਸਟੈਂਟ ਚੀਫ, deputy chief, and then the chief. So that's
right.
That's the process.
So that means anybody who's managing the whole area policing have started as a constable, and then sergeant and inspector. So
that's right.
You are 30 years of your police force, service is full of experience.
Yes, there's a fair bit of experience, I would say, yeah.
So must be you understand the need of the community, because you started as a grassroots, as a volunteer, and police officers are also part of the community.
Correct.
They live in community like everybody else.
That's right.
And their safety is also required as much as for others.
Correct.
ਸੋ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਕਾਂਸਟੇਬਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੋਂ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਰਜੈਂਟ, ਫਿਰ ਇੰਸਪੈਕਟਰ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਰਮੇਸ਼ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ, ਔਰ ਉਹ ਤਰੱਕੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਔਰ ਫਿਰ ਤਰੱਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਅੱਜ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਹੈ। ਫੋਰਸ ਇਨ ਵੈਸਟ ਮਿਡਲੈਂਡ is it the largest one is in London?
Yes, so after the Metropolitan Police, we're the next largest.
Saad Sangat ji, as we all know, this Birmingham is second city of United Kingdom, so force is also number 2 in UK. ਤੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਫੋਰਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਲੰਡਨ ਦੀ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਨੰਬਰ 2 ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਦੀ ਵੈਸਟ ਮਿਡਲੈਂਡ ਦੀ ਹੈ। Now my other question, next question is that you've been chief constable in Nottinghamshire?
That's right.
Okay. What is the difference you find between Nottinghamshire and West Midland as far as the policing is concerned?
Well, obviously the communities are different.
Yeah.
The communities are different wherever you police. From the first time that I took responsibility for a beat and walked the beat as a constable, it's a different community wherever you go and work. But the real difference between Nottinghamshire and the West Midlands area is the size of the population.
Yeah.
And also what I generally do is times things by about 3.5 or 4 to get a ready reckoner as to sort of quantifying one to the other. So for example, the numbers of people that we employ here in the West Midlands, we've got 8,000 police officers, and we have about 4,500 to 5,000 members of police staff. So the total head count is around 12,500. And our budget is about £750 million, and we cover a population of just over 3 million people. So the main differences are scale, so times by 3.5 or times by 4, and then the diversity of the communities.
Yeah, of course.
So Nottinghamshire is a fairly diverse county, but the diversity is concentrated around the main city of Nottingham.
Yeah.
Whereas the West Midlands, the diversity extends to all the areas that we cover,
Yeah.
some more than others.
ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਫਰਕ ਇੰਨਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਨੰਬਰ 2 UK ਦੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਫੋਰਸ ਹੈ ਨੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 3.75 ਬਿਲੀਅਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਜਟ ਹੈ ਔਰ 8000 ਪੁਲਿਸ ਫੋਰਸ ਨੇ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 5000 ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਹੋਰ ਸਟਾਫ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੋਰ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਡਾਈਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਯਾਨੀ ਭਾਂਤ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਕੌਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਧਰਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਨੋਟਿੰਗਮ ਵੀ ਨੇ ਪਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਵੀ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਓ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਡਾਈਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੇਗੀ ਇਹ ਫਰਕ ਮੈਂ ਨਾਲ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀ ਫਰਕ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਨਾਓ ਦੀ in West Midland particularly what I have been living almost 60 years here in Smellik but the difference which we now find of diversity is lot greater than what we are used to be.
Correct.
1970s, but now we have Polish and many other communities, the Kurds and how you manage to police that much diversity because there are so many communities. Last time I interviewed Dave Thompson here and it was he was really surprised to see the diversity. At that time there were a lot of Ethiopians coming to Birmingham. So how you find yourself policing that diverse community?
So that comes as a challenge, but you said it right at the beginning, the police are the public and the public are the police.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, it's really important that we engage properly. So number one is we know who these people are.
Yeah.
Number two, we work with our partners to identify local needs. Quite often we have to extend that hand of friendship and brief new communities because sometimes they come from countries whereby trust in the police is very limited and perhaps elements of corruption and bribery are present. And clearly that's not the British model of policing. We police by consent with people on behalf of people. So, and on occasions we will use force, but we will only use force where it's strictly necessary. It's not a first option, it's generally a last option. So part of it is identifying the communities, so we work with the council, we work with government, and we work with loads of people like yourself who have lived in an area for a long time. And what we try and do is tailor the policing response to the needs of the community. So we listen, and we've structured ourselves in a way which enables us to do that more and more.
Can you explain briefly in Punjabi?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਯਾਰ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਬੜੀ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਫ ਕਾਂਸਟੇਬਲ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਪੁਲਿਸਿੰਗ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਪੁਲਿਸਿੰਗ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਾਡਲ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਕੰਸੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀ ਪਰਮਿਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਮਨੌਤ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਪੁਲਿਸਿੰਗ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਰਲ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਾਰੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਅਗਰ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੀ ਵੈਸਟ ਮਿਡਲੈਂਡਸ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀ ਡੈਂਸ ਡਾਈਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਆ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ 17 ਦੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਮਝ ਲਓ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਜਾਂ ਬਲੈਕ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ
we were only called black here that is
ਯੂਰੋਪੀਅਨ ਤੇ ਕਈ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਕੰਟਰੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਬੜੀ ਵਾਈਡਰ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਡਾਈਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਇਸ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੇ ਬੜੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨਾਲ ਰਲ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਪੁਲਿਸਿੰਗ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ
very good now at that time we used to our slogan was when we used to demonstrate in front of a police station we were complaining about prejudice and we used to say black and white unite and fight this was our slogan against extreme
National
groups
Front.
National Front for instance how you find in the police do you still find any prejudice because I fought prejudice in different ways not like politicians other people I shared my love against hate and I converted people into love that was my way of helping and getting rid of prejudice from minds how do you find still some element of prejudice in police?
I think yes is the answer to that.
Very good.
And I think that you find an element of prejudice in every organisation, and that's life. However, it's really important to sort of reassure people that as chief, I try and recruit new officers according to their values and their moral compass. And that's really important to make sure we get the right people in the organisation. So we try and recruit against values, we test people's opinions and values, and we also have a good system internally of challenging people who display prejudice. And I deal with those very directly, let's say, which usually involves a walk down the stairs and off you go. Because there are good places for very good local people to join West Midlands Police. And part of my job as chief is to encourage people to join, have a safe environment for everybody to enter, to progress, and also to enjoy working and be good advocates for the organisation.
From last few years, I personally, because we started police and community relation committees long before this Carbon report. Here in Sandwell, particularly where we are sitting. And we had full support of local commanders at that time. But still, it is pleasing to see that there is prejudice, and it is in every community. Perhaps Indian or black people they might have prejudice against white color. It's everywhere, it's natural. But we understand that police officer used to be, available, open door policy, particularly commanders of different areas. But from last few years, we find, that is gone. So I understand you have introduced a new plan.
That's
new
right.
Structure.
Yeah.
So explain about new structure, and does that include openness of chief officers? At least they should be available to the gatekeepers, at least.
Yes.
To the community.
So the basic way of policing, in my experience, is that we police on behalf of society.
Yes.
So we have to structure ourselves in a way which works for local people. And the best way of doing that is our co-production with partners to tackle the issues that are affecting society. So criminality, antisocial behaviour, etc., etc. And part of our job is to prevent crime, not to just go and arrest people, but to prevent bad things from happening. And our structure is now a changed structure. So I have returned to a model of local ownership, which you would know and you would have liked, because that's where I've had my best success as a chief superintendent, when I've been responsible for all the resources in an area. So all the detectives, all the people that respond to incidents, the neighbourhood cops, the police staff, the PCSOs, and they've been my police stations. So across the West Midlands, that's the structure, that each of our separate areas that you mentioned in your introduction, each is headed by a chief superintendent, and the local resources are theirs.
How will you ensure that particularly the places of worship and community centers of ethnic community, your officers are in touch with them? Would they report to you? Would they visit those centers occasionally?
So absolutely. So underneath that structure of a chief superintendent, the geography is partitioned and owned by an inspector.
Okay.
And that inspector is in charge of all the neighbourhood officers and PCSOs. And that's the model of engagement. So they know the local area in the same way that I did when I was walking the beat, when I started in the police. And that's the people who engage with the religious institutions, but also they are the people who are our eyes and ears, our first line. And that's really key to making sure that we deliver policing on behalf of everyone, not just a minority of people.
No, I just mentioned places of worship because places of worship of minority community are still a major place of getting together.
Yeah, that's right.
You find people over the weekend 500, 600 in each centre.
So they're really good engagement opportunities and good listening opportunities for us. So the local neighbourhood cops and the PCSOs are the people who attend those venues, but also they are the people that can pick the phone up and just take time to work a problem through?
I think the one thing might be if you can make sure the chief officers, the commanders of area, they also, maybe once a year, they also meet community, twice a year they meet community and see what they want, how they can be settled, because each community might have, not only at the time of trouble, like we had, there was a problem last year in Hindu temple in Smedik. Then everybody came together. Not only that time, it should be regular thing that chief officer should come and meet the community and see how they feel directly, because the main people who dealing are the grassroots officers. I appreciate, but chief officers should be also aware of aspiration of the community.
Absolutely. And all community needs are different, aren't they?
Yeah.
So the commander needs to be informed of those differences, because we have to tailor our service accordingly to local need, because that's the theory that sits behind it. So I agree with you.
Ramesh, can you explain this important topic?
Yeah, it's बड़ा important है क्योंकि चीफ कांस्टेबल एक साल तो इत्थे हैगे ने नोटिंगम तो आके ट्रांसफर ते इन्हां ने आंदियां ने एक ना लोकल पुलिसिंग मॉडल जिहड़ा कि इंट्रोड्यूस कीता हैगा। इस मॉडल दे विच हैगा कि इन्हां ने मेन चीज़ इन्हां दी हैगी आ कि जिहड़ी कि साडे कोल पहलां हुंदी सी, जिहड़े कि कहदे हुंदे सी डिविजनल राइट डिविजन्स, उसी तरह इन्हां ने एक कमांडर बनाता कि चीफ सुपरडेंटेंट जिहड़ा कमांडर हैगा लोकल दा, वो सारी जिन्नी भी सी हैडकुआटर विच जां CID सी जां स्पैशल यूनिट सीगे जां साडी डोमैसटिक यूनिट सी, इन्हां ने कीता हैगा कि उन्हां सारिआं नूं चीफ सुपरडेंटेंट दे थाने विच उन्हां नूं बाड़ दित्ता है लोकल तौर दित्ते और उन्हां नूं सारी फैसिलिटी देती हैगी आ कि तुसीं इस चीज़ नूं डील करना, जिहदे नाल कि सारी पावर उन्हां दे कोल हैगी आ। ते जिहड़े लोकल इंस्पैक्टर हैगे आ ਉਹ ਲੋਕਲ ਇੰਸਪੈਕਟਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਲੋਕਲ ਪੁਲਿਸਿੰਗ ਪਾਰਟਨਰਸ਼ਿਪਸ ਏਜੰਸੀਜ਼, ਜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਲਿੰਕ ਬਣੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੁੱਡ ਰਿਲੇਸ਼ਨਸ਼ਿਪ ਬਣੇ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਆਪਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੌਂਡਿੰਗ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੀ ਤੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੀ, ਤੇ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਈਜ਼ੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਪੁਲਿਸਿੰਗ ਤੇ ਨਾਲੇ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਦਾ ਕੌਨਫੀਡੈਂਸ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਹੋਰ ਵਧੇ।
But answer, what about the chief officer, the commanders?
हाँ, जो कमांडर दे हैगा कि ये कह रहे हैं कि हरेक साल दे विच जिस तरह तुसीं कह रहे हैं कि किसी टाइम उत्ते जिस तरह कि साडे कोल हुंदा सी कम्यूनिटी स्टाफ जां साडे कोल पब्लिक लिएजन ऑफिस हुंदे सीगे राइट, बट ਉਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ। ਹੁਣ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕਲ ਕਮਾਂਡਰਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਲੀ ਲਿੰਕ ਉਹ ਬਣਾਉਣਗੇ। ਤੇ ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ the must meet the community.
That's the feedback which you can take from our communities, from I've been longest serving relation secretary and all this, so I have experience and I think this is the demand of the community. They should be accessible. Like last year we had a problem, Muslims and Hindus in Smedik, because we had a link. Immediately we resolved it. Otherwise, it would have become international problem of Hindu versus Muslim. But because we knew one another, and the greatest thing was that when Muslims came to demonstrate against Hindu temple first time in our history, it was the Muslim mullahs who stood in front of the temple, and they guarded us. So that sort of relationship is required.
And that's what I'm used to delivering.
Good. So that's very nice. Now the other thing, I'm very happy that next to you Ramesh is sitting, who was one of the first police officers recruited in Westmoreland going back in 70s. And I remember once he stopped my car. I thought why police, he was on a motorbike, and he was inspired by his father, who was also in police at that time, in Punjab police, so not here, but he inspired him to join police. But there was no inspiration to join Westmoreland. There were two officers, Tariq and Ramesh, for many years. But now we see you are driving, recruitment. But where we stand now, there were only two going back 70 to about 80, 2 officers which we see, and they were only constables. Now we see inspectors, sergeants as well. Where we stand now, are you satisfied with the recruitment of black and ethnic community?
I'm more satisfied than I was.
Okay.
And where we stand now is around 16.
Not fully satisfied.
Sorry, not fully satisfied, no.
That's I like.
So there's more work to do.
Yeah.
So we stand at about 16 to 17%. So on an average intake these days, an intake of new recruits, of 24 people, usually 10 to 12 are now women, which is radically different than when I joined. And also you would see 4 to 5 of those people being non-white, and that is radically different. But when I'm saying there's more to do, I want the representation to be higher. And the reason I want the representation to be higher, because I believe that is directly linked to our legitimacy and public confidence, and also our cultural competence in understanding the needs of different communities and lived experience within different communities. So I think we're doing much better than we've done in the past. We have a positive action campaign and an outreach team, which instead of you approaching us, we try and do our recruitment events in certain areas, in certain colleges and schools, job fairs, different opportunities that we've got around the West Midlands to try and encourage as many people as possible to consider the career of the police, i.e. a police officer in uniform or a police staff member. But we are a decent employer, and we're a big employer, and we've got loads of good opportunities for local talent, which is what I'm after.
People are complaining now how we are to overcome this situation when we are closing down all the police stations.
Oh yeah.
Now, Smethwick used to be main, Wednesbury used to be main, you know, the many, and also Old Hill and other areas. Now we are closing down all the police stations. How can you cater? You know,
so policing's changed. Yeah, it's changed quite dramatically. So first point is that it's very important that it's people that deliver the service, not bricks. And our estate requirements have changed over time.
I understand.
No longer are we in little areas with big police stations. We are now much more agile, we're much more mobile, we're in cars, we do more car driving than walking, we deal with people over the phone, with digital crime reports, etc. We deal with people online, we can interview people online. And so the requirements have changed. But my job is to give the best service I can with the budget available. And the budget available to West Midlands Police is one whereby we sometimes are at the wrong end of the national funding formula. So we are heavily reliant on government grant, direct taxation, and we don't collect much money from local taxation, from the precept, the little bit that you see on your council tax bill, which will say Police and Crime Commissioner for the West Mids. So as a result of that, I prioritise people, i.e. employees, over owning a load of bricks. However, I'm not the type of chief constable that will remove a police station from a particular area and leave nothing behind. So what we've tried to do over the time is to downsize. So the analogy is, don't own a 5-bedroom detached if you can get away in a 2-bedroom bungalow. Because it's important that we remain in these areas. And again, from a chief's perspective, I've never closed a front desk. I've only maintained the number of public contact points across the force, and only intend to do so.
That's very good. That's very good message. People would at least there should be somebody available.
Correct, all the time.
To meet and see what their requirements are. And then at least signpost.
Correct.
You know, which is very important. Can you explain this to me?
It's a very good point that the Chief has put forward, because some people under the perception of perhaps are not reachable. But to be honest with you, I think part of it is because maybe some people are not aware. But what we're doing is we're sending out messages to the community, right, on how to communicate, how to relay, how to interact. Right? वही चीज़ है कि जड़ी ये चीज़ कह रहे हैं ਕਿ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਹੁਣ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ, ਪੁਲਿਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੱਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਛੋਟਾ ਬਣਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਬਟ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਉੱਥੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਰਹੇਗਾ, ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਰਹੇਗਾ, ਪੁਲਿਸ ਰਹੇਗੀ, ਬਟ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਟ 'ਤੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਟੈਲੀਫੋਨ 'ਤੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਈ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਦਿਨੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ। ਸੋ ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਮਿਊਨੀਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਆ ਨੈਟਵਰਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਓਪਨ ਹੈ, ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹਾ ਆ, ਅਤੇ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੌਨਫੀਡੈਂਸ ਆ ਉਹ ਡਾਊਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। ਇਹ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਦਾ ਕੌਨਫੀਡੈਂਸ ਸ਼ੁੱਡ ਵੀ ਜਾਣੀ ਕਿ ਵਧਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਸ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਇੰਨੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਰਿਕਰੂਟਿੰਗ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਕਿ ਵਾਪਸ ਉਹ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਘੱਟ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੀ ਇਨਕਰੀਜ਼ ਹੁਣ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਦੀ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ।
That's very good. That's very nice. You know, one thing which people are concerned, you know, particularly Indian Asian community, they want their son and daughter to become doctor, engineer, lawyer. The reason being that we don't see that much progression in police force. Like he joined, although he was awarded the Queen's Medal as well, but he still remained sergeant. Yeah. But I think biggest inspiration will be when there is a proper progression of a career in police force, as you rightly said, and which people should appreciate, that everybody join as a constable. So they can be fully aware of the services which are required.
Correct.
Which is very important. But are you satisfied with the progression as well? This is my question, because you are very straightforward. You are answering all my questions straight. So where you feel there's a shortcoming, we need to work, you are telling me that as well. What about progression?
So I think I'm a mentor for people from underrepresented groups in policing, and I mentor a couple of very senior officers in the UK. And as part of that, I benefit from some reverse mentoring as well. So it's a win-win situation. You asked me specifically, am I happy with it? I think we've got to do more. If you look at our force in particular, we see good progression and increasingly good progression from constable to sergeant and sergeant to inspector, but I expect to see more progression in the future. So we've had up until the middle of this year, actually, one of our assistant chief constables got promoted, and he's now in the Metropolitan Police as a deputy assistant commissioner, and he'd served West Midlands for a long time. We've had chief superintendents from non-white backgrounds, and at the moment the most senior non-white officer is a superintendent. So that's within force, but we've also got a chief superintendent who is seconded to the National Superintendents Association, which is a really good position to have. And she is a non-white officer and has done all her policing career in the West Midlands. So we have got good role models, males, females, different religions, but I want to see more.
Good. What was the name of Assistant Chief Constable?
Yeah, but
one was Anil Patani, other than Anil Patani.
Yeah, obviously
Matt
Anil
Ward.
Patani and Matthew Ward, who's back onto the Metropolitan as the chief.
But there was one Punjabi.
And Punjabi was Max Sahota,
Max
who's a friend
Yeah, he's a friend of mine, yeah.
Max Sahota.
as well.
So what we expect is somebody who retired or moved somewhere else to replace him with somebody.
Yeah, if only it was that simple.
But same time, I will not expect any level to come down.
No, I'm the same. The standard's the standard.
Standard is that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you can find many people of that standard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it takes time, but you have to also give people the confidence and encourage people, and that's the difference between positive action and positive discrimination. So positive action is perfectly legal in our country. Positive discrimination isn't. So up until the point of the interview, I can give people tutoring, I can encourage, I can explain process, I can walk them through, I can give them more confidence. And that's what we're doing at the front end on the constable recruitment. But we also support people who are already members of our organisation with preparation ready for those examinations.
And we're going to ask.
And the selection process, which is an interview board for the more senior posts.
Now, there used to be, I used to accompany people like Ramesh who used to go to the temples and community centers and promote recruitment and guide people who potential, guide people how to fill in form and prepare for selection process.
Correct.
You still have that?
Yeah, all of that. But the process, as you say, is absolutely fair and equal across the board.
Yeah, that's very good. Now my next question is very important as well. How you consult a community, what are their concerns? This is very important that, for instance, if it's medic, if concern the drug and we are spending money somewhere else, the community won't be satisfied. So how you consult people, what they feel, what are their priorities?
So what happens is, on a national basis, we gather all the intelligence and we have a national threat assessment of criminality towards the people of the United Kingdom. That's a document that's produced by the National Crime Agency. So we take notice of that document. Then we have the Home Office and the Home Secretary's intent. And we have something which is called the Strategic Policing Requirement. And that's a legal duty on me to make sure that I provide firearms, public order, counter-terrorism, public protection, etc. And then following that, the Police and Crime Commissioner has what's called a Police and Crime Plan, and he or she has to consult the public on that plan, and that has a number of local priorities. And then coming down from that, the local areas have community safety partnerships. So that's usually police, fire, third sector and local authorities. They consult the community and they also give local priorities for the neighbourhood police officers. So when you talk about, well, where's the money being spent, we operate on a system of you said, we did. So I've got all these national responsibilities and some regional ones and some local ones, but most importantly, if it's a local issue of concern, the neighbourhood inspector makes sure that that's being picked up, dealt with and reported back upon.
Now, as far as the Asian community is concerned, we are very much worried about our children going to school, about drugs, alcohol. This is very worrying to parents. And there are some pockets of, for instance, in Smedi, where I approached the chief commander at that time, and they concentrated on that area and improved the situation. So would the local commander will listen similarly and
absolutely, 100%. And certainly as a parent, it's important for me to say, and to say to your listeners as well, particularly local listeners and viewers, that the generation of youth that are coming through today are much better behaved than generations that have gone in the past. So your generation was particularly bad. No, I'm only joking. So honestly, it's easy to label young people, but I assure you the majority of young people are good young individual citizens. And it's easy for the media sometimes to portray the negative aspects, but candidly, we very much arrest fewer young people, we take fewer young people to court, we actively try and divert them away from the criminal justice system to give them another chance and push them in the right direction. And also, the amount of consumption of alcohol and drugs by younger people, definitely on the alcohol side, has reduced over time. I can see that in my experience. And when it comes to the drugs side of things, at the moment, there's a lot of younger people who take their personal health much more seriously than I did. And what I see is a reduced amount in many areas. But where we do get reports, as you've just said, the local commander and the local inspector need to get a grip and deal with it.
I always propagate it, and thank you for clarifying this, that youngsters should not be criminalized.
Correct.
We need to protect them, put them on the right path. That should be our effort. Ramesh, can you explain that?
Yeah, Chief Constable basically बहुत in depth ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ explain ਕਰਕੇ ਗਏ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ children ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਡੱਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫੜ ਕੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਰੈਸਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਜਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਰੈਕੋਰਡ ਕਰਨਾ, ਉਹ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦਾ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਵਾਸ ਮੈਜੋਰਿਟੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਾਹਲੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਚਿਲਡਰਨ ਕਿ ਗੁੱਡ ਪੀਪਲ ਗੁੱਡ ਜਾਨੀ ਬੱਚੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਟਰਬਲ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਤੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜੇਕਰ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੈ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਾਂ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਤੇ ਉਹੀ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਲ ਕਮਾਂਡਰ ਦੇ ਅੰਡਰ ਥੱਲੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੰਸਪੈਕਟਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਇੰਸਪੈਕਟਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਲਿੰਕ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਲੋਕਲ ਪਾਰਟਨਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗੇ ਕਿ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਨੂੰ ਡਿਸਮੈਂਟਲਿੰਗ ਬੈਰੀਅਰਸ ਜਾਂ ਕਲਚਰ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਡੇਂਜਰਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਉਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੌਰ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਔਰ ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ PCSOs ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ
One message, whenever possible, I know you will do it. Whenever possible, we used to have a couple of officers, particularly connecting the community in each area. If that comes possible, not full time, but at least somebody who can be contacted. If you can do in each district, each commander area. Then we'll appreciate that.
Okay.
On the moment we find, no, it's not, an IAG go after 3 months, that's not a contact.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree with that.
In case of need, dire need, there are people who won't telephone or contact every day. When there is a immediate need to curb something, then we need a contact.
Yeah, I appreciate that. In general terms, in terms of contacting us, can I just sort of say that, probably it was my really strong focus as chief when I first took the job, because we were very poor at answering the telephone. So last summer, the average wait time for a 999 call was at over half a minute. Now we average at 4 seconds. And
Congratulations.
We deal with roughly 70,000 999 calls in a month.
Okay.
We are the third best in the UK, despite that huge volume. And if you ring us on 101, the average wait time used to be about half an hour last summer, which was ridiculous. It's now 2.5 minutes.
Very good.
For a non-emergency number, for the force our size, that's a good level of service to the public.
Thank you for that. Now we got about 3 minutes left. So, it's festive time. First of all, you can wish all our viewers Happy Christmas and New Year. Plus, there are increase in crime as well. What advice you would like to give our viewers during Christmas period?
Right, so during Christmas period, my main advice is to go out, celebrate if that's something that you do on a normal basis, and don't if that's not your actual thing. It's a bit of a myth to say that crime increases over Christmas. To be honest with you, it actually decreases in most crime categories because more people are at home from school, at home from work during that period. We police a few extra football matches, usually on Boxing Day and New Year's Day, and as you've seen the way that we've policed Aston Villa recently, we have a good number of resources and a high number of en-suite accommodations to accommodate people who do want to let everybody else down in society. So my message is really clear. It's go out, have a good Christmas, have a good celebration if that's your thing. If that's not your thing, that's absolutely fine. Stay safe. Actually, it's a myth that crime increases over Christmas. Normally it decreases in my whole experience.
What about drink and drive? Drink and drive. What would
drink and drive?
Shouldn't.
Yeah, very simple. Don't, or else you will be arrested and you will go to court. You will lose your driving license. And actually, is it really worth it when you can walk or get a taxi?
Ramesh, in Punjabi, please.
Each year we put this out to the public really, and being a traffic officer all my time with dealing with these things. ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਚੀਫ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਇੰਜੋਏ ਆਫ ਫੈਸਟਿਵ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਰਾਈਟ ਬਟ ਇਹ ਆ ਵੀ ਧਿਆਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਾਕੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਕੇ ਰੱਖੋ। ਤੇ ਗੱਡੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਿਲੋਂਗਿੰਗਸ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਾਲ ਰੱਖੋ। ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਹੈਗਾ ਬਾਹਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਇਹ ਕਰੋ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਨੋਮੀਨੇਟ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਡਰਾਈਵ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਦੇਣ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਜਾਣ। ਤੇ ਮਗਰ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਡਰਿੰਕ ਐਂਡ ਡਰਾਈਵ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਅਲਾਉਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ 'ਤੇ ਰਿਸਕ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਪਲੱਸ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਐਕਸੀਡੈਂਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਥਰਡ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ 'ਤੇ ਇੰਜਰੀ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਈ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਿਸਕੁਆਲੀਫਾਈ ਤਾਂ ਨੈਚੁਰਲੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵ ਇੰਪੈਕਟ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਉੱਤੇ। ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਡਰਿੰਕ ਐਂਡ ਡਰਾਈਵ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ।
ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਟਾਈਮ ਹੋ ਚੱਲਿਆ। ਇਫ ਯੂ ਹੈਵ ਐਨੀ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ you can send to me in Kanshi TV, and I'm sure Chief will answer any question, any concern you have. He will be in touch with us, and I request him to come back. And happy Christmas and New Year.
And the same to you.
And ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਹੈਪੀ ਕ੍ਰਿਸਮਸ। ਨੈਕਸਟ ਵੀਕ ਦਾ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਕ੍ਰਿਸਮਸ 'ਤੇ ਹੋਏਗਾ। 20 ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ ਰੈਵਰੈਂਡ ਡੇਵਿਡ ਗੋਲਡ ਜੀ ਆਉਣਗੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ, ਔਰ ਹੋਰ ਸੱਜਣ ਆ ਕੇ ਕ੍ਰਿਸਮਸ ਦੇ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ 27 ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ ਵੈਸਟ ਮਿਡਲੈਂਡ ਮੇਅਰ ਐਂਡੀ ਸਟਰੀਟ ਇਜ਼ ਕਮਿੰਗ ਔਨ ਮਾਈ ਸ਼ੋ 27 ਨੂੰ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੋਏ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭੇਜ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਵਨਸ ਅਗੇਨ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਆਈ ਵਿਲ ਲਾਈਕ ਟੂ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸਰ, ਐਂਡ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਰਮੇਸ਼ ਜੀ, ਪਾਰਟ ਆਫ ਆਵਰ ਕਾਂਸ਼ੀ TV ਫੈਮਿਲੀ। ਸੋ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ। He was very busy. He has to go to another meeting, but I'm thankful you stayed for the full show. ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ। ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਆਪਣਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ, ਨਾਮ ਖੁਮਾਰੀ ਨਾਨਕਾ ਚੜੀ ਰਹੇ ਦਿਨ ਰਾਤ। ਮਾਲਕ ਖਾਲਕ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਦੇ, ਸੁੱਖ ਦੇ। ਜੈ ਗੁਰਦੇਵ, ਧੰਨ ਗੁਰਦੇਵ ਜੀ।